recognition for one of our student athletes, which I think is incredible. NCAA One Athlete of the Year is special. We're excited about this game. Obviously, a lot's at stake. I think our kids and players understand that, and I got a lot of respect for Mark and the job he's done. I think it's really remarkable, and it shows the patience of an athletic department to stick with a guy who I think is one of the best coaches in all of college football. He's now put his roster together. He's got a senior class that's really incredible. I think across the SEC, when you talk to the other coaches, which we all talk, to each other week to week, everybody talks about Kentucky's group of seniors. They've got either 12 or 13 starters, however you want to look at it, which is the most starters of any team in the SEC. I mean, their whole defense, I think it's 7 or 8 defensive players. It seems like they've been playing for 4 years. You look back at the tape 2 years ago when we were up there playing, all those guys are still there, and they're really good football players. They're back end and they're linebackers. The defense coordinator, Coach House, is doing an incredible job. But they've got a really good football program, a very physical football program, one that in the last 2 years, each time we played them, our players said that was one of the most physical games we had to play, Coach. They are tough and they're physical. So they do a tremendous job, and we've got a lot of improving to do to be able to complement and to match up with these guys, because they have a really good football team. And we're excited for the opportunity to go over there and play.
Raise your hand if you have a question.
Kirby, I guess specifically with all the seniors that they have on defense compared to a couple of years ago, what can they do? What are they doing so well defensively to where they hadn't even allowed 20 points in a game this year?
They play complementary defense. They're on the same page at all times. You don't see busts. They understand where each guy is. They leverage the ball well. They tackle well. They're extremely long in the secondary. I mean, they've got 6'2", 6'3" corners. They're good tacklers. They got good safeties. Got big men up front, which is built for the kind of defense they play. And they've obviously got one of the best pass rushers in the country. So they do a tremendous job of playing team defense. They're very organized, disciplined. They know the game plan. They know what they're going to take away, and they do it. And it's a credit to what they built, because when you build on the long term and you have this many seniors in a group, I mean, any defense I've coached or any team that I've been involved in coaching that has this many seniors is usually pretty successful, because they played in our conference. Everybody wants to talk about, well, how many stars did they have? How many great recruits did they have? How many games have these guys played? Pretty successful when you play that many games.
Coach, you're talking about Kentucky's defense. Looking back at the Florida game and really on the season, your short yardage situations on offense. Obviously, that didn't go well against Florida. Much respect for their defense. But what's your takeaway on that? Is this a physical issue or kind of a play calling issue when you revisit that?
Well, first thing I would say is we haven't been real good on short yardage defense either. So when you look at it, 3rd and 1s haven't been our flavor on either side of the ball, and haven't been as successful as we would like to be. I think it comes with a lot of combination of things. Sometimes maybe put too much on one player, asking them to do too much. Some of it is execution. And at times we've had some really good plays called that we didn't execute. Then other times it's on play design and play call that we didn't do a good job as coaches. And I think a combination of those things you got to improve on. 3rd and short is what you should want to be in, from an offensive perspective, not defensively. But we got to do a better job executing in those. And some games we not only game plan that we converted all those. Then other games we haven't, and we didn't do a good job of that against Florida. We got to improve it.
Kirby, I saw a video of your unique celebration Saturday in the locker room. What do you have in store if you go in the SEC East?
I don't know. I'd go by the moment. I wouldn't say that was unique. That was just your first time getting to see the inside, but that's not unique to me in the locker room with the players. I certainly enjoy and treasure the opportunity to celebrate with our guys, and they needed that, and I needed it. So players enjoyed it, and on to the next one.
Coach, to follow up on that, I mean, how can you use the fact that this is kind of the winner takes the division and the losers? How can you use that as kind of a motivating type of factor this week?
I don't know that you have to use it. I mean, players get it. They know what's at stake. I don't know that you have to build that up. I mean, this game is exactly what it is. I mean, it's an opportunity to earn the right to win your division. And they got a great program. We got a great program. And it's at their place. It's going to be a great atmosphere. I don't know, we really build this program on being neutral and understanding that every game is just as important as the other. Because if the other games weren't important, we wouldn't be in this position in this game. And they just get bigger and bigger from here, so that's the way we look at it.
Coach faced two good players in Zuniga and Polite. How does Josh Allen compare to those talents?
He's faster, he's bigger, he strike, play the run, he can drop, play in coverage, they move him around, they do a great job using him. He's the total package, he's not one-dimensional, he can do a lot of things. He's very disruptive, you gotta know where he is at all times. He's what you want when you design a 3-4 defense. He's your prototype guy, and he has been disruptive to everyone in this conference, and everybody you talk about how good a player he is.
Kirby, obviously your run defense looms large this game, but also down the stretch. How much upside is there to improve the run defense? Obviously Jordan Davis, Malik Herring playing more. Do you look at any changes behind them and linebacker? Where can you get better? How much can you get better?
You know, it's tough in the midst of the season to just magically get better. We try to do it through fundamentals, technique, individual block destruction, demeanor, attitude, but you can't go out and replace players. We got what we got. We'd love to have some more depth at those positions, but we don't. And we've got to do a better job of helping the guys we got to be successful, whether that be by scheme or that be by effort or fundamentals. And you know, at the end of the day, you got to block, protect, and you got to tackle. It's hard to say, well, we're going to just change all that in 1 week and get better. We're just going to keep working at it. That's all we know how to do. And there are no magical defenses that we can call that say this defense stops every run. It's not. You got to physically whip a man in front of you, get off a block, and go make a tackle, of which they do a really good job of blocking you. And they got one of the premier guys in the country tugging the ball, who's probably the best I've ever seen with his vision. He never misses a hole. He sets his blockers up, and he does not want to be tackled. You got to go in with a willingness to be more physical than him. So, I mean, to answer your question, it's not going to be easy. We got to do a good job of playing with a little better demeanor.
Coach, on the injury front, any update on David Marshall and also Kendall Baker, Cade Mays? You said there were a few guys that got nicked up. Where are you guys at on that front?
Yeah, I think we're pretty clean across the board offensive line. All those guys are fine. We'll be practicing. Kendall will be back. Solomon's fine. Andrew's fine. He's got the continues of that ankle, but he went back and played. He'll be out there today. Ben's going to get some work this week. We don't know if he'll be cleared yet or not. We don't know if he'll play yet or not, but he's going to try to go out and do some practice stuff. David, don't know yet still, but I think that's everybody.
Kirby, how concerning is it when you play a team that just won't go away? I mean, Kentucky's been like left for dead a couple of times this year, and they just keep finding ways to come back. Obviously, a very resilient type of team.
Yeah, very senior laden team. They believe they've got a good coaching staff. They've got a group of young men that fight. I mean, when you have a defense that plays like they do, they're in every game, and their offense matches it perfect because they grind you to a nub. They're just extremely physical. They play a lot of offensive linemen. They've got a quarterback that can run as good as most receivers in our conference. They're hard to defend, and they're very talented when you look at it across the board and you see why they've been successful.
Kirby, you mentioned that having a quarterback that can run, maybe as talented a runner at that position as y'all played this year. With him in addition to Snell, just how much does that complicate things in improving your run defense?
It makes you have to tackle people. You got to tackle people in space. You got to be good tacklers. You got to get a lot of people to the ball, and you got to strike and get off blocks because you don't unblock people. You don't just all of a sudden say, "Well, we're going to call this," and he's not going to be blocked. Everybody's going to have a blocker on them. Somebody's got to get off a block, and this is not for the faint of heart. This is not going to be for the lack of physicality. This is going to be for people that want to hit people and people want to strike people because that's the kind of team they got.
Kirby, I was wondering, as far as the Florida games, anything specifically that you maybe learned about this group that maybe didn't know going in?
You know, I don't feel that way. I feel like that we see so much of these guys in practice that we give them adverse situations, which we had in the game. We give them ups and downs. There's momentum swings in every game, and there are momentum swings in that. I always thought our guys would respond and fight. I was proud of the way they kept fighting because we had some situations that we didn't get what we needed to get out of, whether it was the goal line situation, whether it was the opening drive, the second half defense, whatever it was. They responded well, and they kept fighting and kept grinding. That's the kind of group this is. They'll fight you, and they'll fight hard. We just got to fight smarter.
How encouraging was it to get some explosive runs from DeAndre Saturday? And do you guys keep track of yards after contact? Any numbers stand out there?
Yeah, we do. I mean, I don't know exactly what they are, but Dale gives them a report each week, calls them dog yards, and that's a big deal to us is yards after contact, and Holyfield and Swift have both done a good job of that, and we'll continue to. I was proud of Swift. He had some runs, some explosive runs, and opened some things up, and seems to be getting back on track again.
Kirby, on the offensive line, how much has the playing time they've been able to get benefited guys like Cade Mays and Trey Hill to the point where you feel they're ready to come in and not miss a beat, down stretch games like this?
Yeah, I think it's really helped all the time they've got leading up to this. We had to plug guys in, plug and play. It seems like every game the offensive line's a little bit of a merry-go-round, but it's that way every day in practice. I mean, you guys don't get to see the practice, but they just do that all the time. So for y'all, it may be, oh, that guy's in that position. For us, we have a period where he does this position, that position. We just kind of share time so that they're comfortable going in the heat of the battle. And I think Sam does a really good job of putting guys in spots in practice where they have to block really good players defensively so that they get in the game. They're not overwhelmed by having to match up on a really good pass rusher.
Kirby, I know you said a few times that the second half, being better in the second half, a lot of times not necessarily because of an adjustment, but maybe just because the players are just moving on to the next play, and they were saying that after the game as well. How big of a core principle is that for the program to just put what happened in the past behind you, just keep that whole keep moving forward thing? How important is that to what you guys do?
I mean, it's important to life. I mean, our guys are trying to learn. Classes. They got a bad grade. They got to put it behind them. Life. You guys have dealt with it. We deal with it as coaches all the time. You get setbacks. You get setbacks maybe with your family. You have to deal with that kind of thing. And that's what's great about our sport is that we're going to have to deal with things that happen that we don't like or we don't do well. And it's not really what happened. It's how you respond. And we tell our guys that all the time. You got to respond the right way. And we got to respond the right way this week because we didn't play our best game last week. And we're going to play a really good football team this week. So we've got to execute and do better.
Kirby, were the short yardage issues a bigger concern than having to settle for several field goals in the red zone against Florida?
I don't understand your question. Were the short yard situations a bigger concern?
Were you more concerned with not being able to convert those than having to settle for field goals when you got in the red zone on a few drives?
Well, some of the field goals were because we didn't convert short yardages. You know what I mean? We had to kick field goals because we didn't convert short yardages. So I think the biggest thing that stuck out, and I'm through with that game, but that we did convert third downs to get us there, and 3 of the touchdowns I think were on third downs. So those were huge conversions, but they were long yardages. So we worked really hard on third and long a couple weeks ago. We got a little better at it. You know what I mean? Now we're not converting on third and short, so we just got to do a good job working on it all. Got to have a good plan and help our players.
Even after a win, there was still kind of some questioning of Jim Chaney and the play calling, it seemed like. So I guess how would you respond to that, maybe defend?
I don't respond to it. It's people's choice, people's decision. That stuff doesn't bother us as coaches. We live in that world, so it's part of being who we are. You're going to be open to criticism, everything you do, just like I am, just like Mel is. It's part of life, so I don't really need to respond to criticism of our coaches.
On Saturday after the game when we spoke with Jake Fromm, it seemed like that was the most confident I've seen him all season. And it's probably because of his performance, but how big was it for him to go out there and have a performance like that? What could that do for you guys moving forward for the rest of the season?
We'd like to build momentum, but momentum is based on your behavior. It's not based on something that happened. The next event will be determined by our behavior, not by something that happened in the past. And I think Jake acknowledges that. He'll continue to work hard, get better, try to build momentum off of what he did and how he played. And I think he'll be the first to admit he still could have played better. And we're always looking to get better as a team. And you hope that he uses that to build on, and hopefully that confidence becomes to build up for him.
much did the foot injury setback, how do you envision using Terry McGee this year, and what the role in in the defense now for him, how big is it?
Well, the foot injury probably cut back his reps and his volume. We had to be smart because we can't give him we cut down his yardages in practice. We looked last year what he did and what he did this year. We cut down some of that, but it probably hasn't cut down his playing time because he's a good nickel star, good role player there, and does a good job. But he probably wouldn't be playing a corner. He probably wouldn't be playing a safety, but he's at the position he plays. He just doesn't take as many reps in practice.
Talking about J.J. Holland, the job he's done after the game the other day. But with him, has it been something that's been a gradual improvement, or did the light come on? Just kind of what has it been with him and let him be successful?
I mean, everything's been gradual improvement, but he had some good games early in the year. If y'all remember, he had some really good games, and I think everybody just thinks that if you have a good game here, then you're definitely gonna have a good game here. A lot of things are dictated by what play. When we call the play, what is the coverage? What is the defense doing? What hash is it on? Things that people don't think about, that determines maybe who gets the ball. And it's not like you can just go out there and say, we're throwing JJ the ball, he's hot. We're throwing Riley the ball, he's hot. It's dictated by what coverage they play, what defense they play, what hash we're on. There's so many multiples that you can't control where the ball may end up. What JJ's done is just grinded. And JJ is a guy, the epitome of, if you work hard, good will happen to you. So he blocks consistently because he controls his blocking. He doesn't control where the ball's thrown, but he controls his blocking. He controls how he practices because you control that. So the things that you can control, you try to control, and JJ does a great job of that.
2 more questions?
Coach, before the season, you talked about a number of guys that worked in the Wildcat. Do you guys still work that every week? Is that still part of the offensive package?
We'll say that's classified.
Going back to kicking and the confidence you had a while ago, and it seemed like this game 2 years ago, Kentucky was kind of the one.
Yeah.
Kind of a two-parter. Was that the game that really gave you the confidence in him? And I saw you try to specs on him. How bad is his eyesight?
I don't understand eyesight, but I don't see how those can help anybody see. I've never really tried my glasses on, but I guess the harder it is for me to see with them on, then maybe the worse off and he needs them. But I know one thing, he sees that ball on the ground and he hits his toe on the leather real well. So they must work for him. But he did a great job in that game 2 years ago, and so I think that certainly gave him the confidence and gave us the confidence in him that he was a pressure player and enjoyed the moment and did a good job of that.